On that note, let's call the meeting to order. All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We get a roll call.
Wonderjohn here, Van Eck,
Here.
Steffes here, Gardine, Campbell,
Here.
DeHaan
Here.
Highbauer.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Please note, as a courtesy of members of the audience and the Board of Education, please silence your cell phone. Public will only be able to speak during public comment if signed up. Do we have any forms? All right, beautiful, thank you. First item, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Reports agenda. Board members' reports. Let's start with Amy.
Yes, well, we've been enjoying the summer. It's very nice. I did want to mention how much I appreciate community education and all of the activities that they provide for kids throughout the summer. My kids have been doing camps and athletic camps, but then also my son just did one of the Lego camps. It just is a really nice service for our community. They're always well run. They're affordable. It gives something for our kids to do during the summer, which I appreciate.
Nice.
We've been busy with that, and we are gearing up for the beginning of the academic year, which will be here before we know it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Joe.
First of all, congratulations to Adam Lankdo for, I'm sure I'm stealing one of your thunder, so I apologize for that, but congratulations to him, principal of the year for the state of Michigan. That's pretty cool. And then echoing yours, camps, and camps is what we've been doing so far this summer, and it's been a lot of fun. Great to see all the families out there with they're dropping the kids off and seeing them at the scrimmages and stuff. So it's busy,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
Very good. Sally.
Yeah, same. My grands have been involved in a lot of the community ed summer programs. It's been great. Had a lot of great family time. Did Graham and Gramp camp recently. I'm exhausted, and but I also had a chance with Amy to meet with Scott Merkel. We had a great in-service on curriculum and where our district is heading in terms of shoring things up, pulling in loose strings, and making our programming even tighter and stronger. So I'm very enthused about that as we're going into this next year.
Excellent. Thank you. Bob.
This is more informational and I guess just advice as we go down this path, but with the passing of the big beautiful bill, one of the features inside of that is the beginning of school of choice tuition reimbursement. So there's a scholarship program in there that $1,700 per person, $3,400 per families. States have to approve it. It would be a disservice if Michigan didn't do that because there's a good many in parochial school. But vouchers are coming. This is the first wave. We shouldn't be afraid of them. We should actually try and adapt and continue to adapt and be that destination school and drive. So choice is now becoming a factor, and it's going to, from the way the trend is going, it's going to continue to be a factor. So from that perspective, it would be great to be on the leading edge of that so we gain rather than lose. And I'm going to say it's an opportunity to play in a fair market game. And I will also say that I am not in favor of just supporting all schools because they are public schools. I think there should be better benchmark. And with regard to staying as competitive as possible and driving student achievement, even in the less performing districts, they need to fix whatever's wrong and get to it. So just wanted to say that it's happening, and I'd rather district be on the front end of it. That's all I have.
Not much. Been to a couple of football 7-on-7s and went to a travel baseball game that had some of our players in it at Grand Valley. But other than that, been around the high school walking a little bit. But it's good to see all the other people out practicing and doing the camps and stuff. But that's it for me right now.
Good. I don't have a heck of a lot, just a couple late grad parties still attended here. So that's been fun to kind of wrap up that whole season. And then just an opportunity for folks, July 24th, down at the KDL, there's something called the Grandville Night Market they're going to do. And there's going to be two Grandville alums, both excellent players, Sam McCarthy and Lev Gregorian, are going to perform at 5 in the shell there. So that should be fun. Sam's going off to Michigan. I'm sorry, Sam's going on to Michigan State to study performance arts, and Lev is going off to Michigan to study performance arts. So should be fun for both, or should be a good time there. I think they're going to do some jazz songs, so should be good. That's all I got.
Okay. Just want to say, very excited for the upcoming school year. Once that calendar hits August, I'm always pumped. It's my favorite time of the year. New beginning. I think it's going to be an awesome year. We got a lot of things planned. We have some unified things we're doing with our buildings, and as far as professional learning early on, really focusing on the professional learning community process, guaranteed viable curriculum. And you probably recall me, I did a presentation recently on clarity, so we'll have that as part of it. So just really looking forward to the year. It's going to be a great year, and I can wait for a week or two, but when it hits August, I can't wait. It's going to be fun. So looking forward to it.
Good. All right. Any old business?
No old business.
Thank you. All right. Consent action agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Abstain.
Very good. Motion passes. Regular action item. Move on to 5A. As recommended, the full year administrative professionals agreement 2025 to 2027 is recommended the board ratify and officially sign the master agreement between the Grandville full year administrative professionals and Grandville Public Schools. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, and John's here to give you a brief overview of that contract.
So initially was going to plug all of these into one action item, but I wanted to make sure that we at least gave each one the time and energy that it deserved. For our full year administrative professionals, that is predominantly our computer technicians and the folks who work in this building. We have a few other full year secretaries or administrative professionals, assistants that work in other parts of the district, but it's predominantly the folks who work in this building. In this instance, we went with the 2% increase that we had built out with our drivers and with our teachers. The one thing that we did that was unique in this one, we gave some additional time in and around July the 4th. It's always interesting when you say we'll do the 2 days before and the day after, and then July the 4th lands on like a Saturday, right? And so we're just trying to navigate some of that time for our folks. They put in so many hours, additional hours that sometimes they don't ask for, and so just a great gift in the middle of summer when you kind of hit that downtime that they can go with that. And then the other relatively significant change to it, we went to a 6-step with this group. It used to be 10. All of our folks that were in this group were either at 9, 10 in that previous scale, so that became 5, 6 in this scale. But what it does is it really helps us on the recruitment side. So now when we're bringing somebody in under a full year administrative professional agreement, we can bring them in at a little bit of a higher rate than what we were doing before. It would be 4 steps below that, or essentially about 8% less from an hourly rate. So really what we try to do there is just help us to be a little more competitive on the hiring side. We do have one opening at our GEC building for Therese DeBoer. She was working there. She's going to come over to this office and work down in predominantly benefits, but is going to work in the business side of this office. So we're in the midst of hiring that. And I can tell you that the responses we've gotten from prospective applicants is like, oh, that's kind of what I was hoping for when we start looking at like step 1 or 2 in the new agreement, which used to be 4 and 5 in the old agreement. So, and then the other thing we did with this group is give them an additional personal day. So we didn't do anything on the vacation side, but that extra personal day and the time in and around July the 4th really works. And then some of our folks, like particularly often Lisa Hurt, who's our payroll person, she has to work during those 2 or 3 days before the 4th to make sure everybody gets paid on the 8th. And so she just works with Heather to figure out how does she transfer that day just after, within hopefully that first month after, we just kind of shift those days around. So questions on that agreement?
So John, how marketable are we? So are you looking at Kent and Ottawa County with regard to these scales?
Yeah, we're really close. The one thing that we have, if you look at the very back page, that's the piece that makes us the most marketable and competitive. When we have somebody who's been with us for 3 or more years, they roll into longevity and annuity payments. And so after you reach step 6, typically you would have just plateaued at that place and there was nowhere for you to grow. Here we're investing on the annuity side, we're investing on the longevity side, and you'll see in red, we also built out some goal setting where they set 2 goals that are designed and worked on with their supervisor to help us move the district forward, find efficiencies. In most cases, we have 2 or 3 people that are working on a very similar goal because their completion of their goal is dependent on somebody else's. So if they meet those criteria, they set the goal early, we meet at the midway point, we have some dialogue about how it's going, where are you at, and then we get to the end of the year and say, where are you? And they can earn an additional little bonus at the end of the year if they get that goal completed and it's moving us in the right direction. So to your point, Bob, if you look just at the scale in some other places, we're probably a little bit lower. But once you get to that year 3 all the way through year 10, 11, we're about $1 higher than most everybody else, not knowing whether they have all of those additional pieces in there.
When you do, I'm probably going to give you all my questions now instead of over these. So when you do like mid-year vows, do you remind them about the longevity bonus? Do you let them know it's coming? Because you don't do it, you do it twice a year, right? You give them
The longevity is paid out throughout the course of the year on every one of their pay periods.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
I thought it
Yeah.
was
So that's,
semi-annual.
on this one, it gets paid out throughout. On these 3, it gets paid out on June 23.
Okay, thank you. Gotcha. All right.
This one used to have it paid out that way, and then we said, no, we'll do it this way, and we'll pay it out over the course of the year,
Nice.
which I think just helps to
It does,
bump up the
does.
day-to-day. Yeah,
because if you look at their rates, it'll help them out
correct.
that little bit.
Yep.
No? Very nice. Thanks, Jen.
And I appreciate the fact that it's going to really increase retention as well. Not just the new hires, it's gonna make people want to stick around. That's
Yeah.
good.
We've had some pretty good success thus far with this agreement. The folks that have elected to go to a next level position where they've kind of worked and they've grown in this space, and they're like, okay, if I want to really jump forward, I want to jump forward. We had really good conversation with Heather and some of our applicants, including Jason, where the goal for the business supervisor and for Heather when she retires is to have 6, 7, 8, 9 people that are working in her job in different parts of the district and somebody that can come in and replace her. That's 2, 3, 4 years. They should be ready to spread their wings and go grow in another place, and then we bring in the next level of that and really lift them up and help them to grow too.
Good. Good. All right. Any other questions? All right. Can we do a roll call? This is 5A.
5A. Thank you. Vanek.
Yes.
Steffes,
Yes.
DeHaan,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Winterton, yes. Highbauer.
Yes. Motion passes, thank you. All right, on to 5B. Don't go anywhere, John.
Well, I'm not stretched out before I came up.
The School Year Administrative Professionals Agreement. It is recommended the board ratify and officially sign the master agreement between the Grandville School Year Administrative Professionals and Grandville Public Schools. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Again, this one, pretty straightforward. We did the 2% on the steps. This one stayed at the 10-step, just as a part of the dialogue that we had. The one thing that this group really wanted, 3 years ago when we ratified, we put in a snow day clause that used to be you had a 2-hour window to get to work if you were a school year secretary. When I first started, Randy Morris told me if it was a snow day, I needed to be at the building by 6:30 because that's when KCTC kids got dropped off, and sometimes they didn't get the phone call, they didn't get the email, they didn't get the text or whatever. And so your school year secretaries had to be in the building for if there were kids that showed up. That's just not something that we're experiencing anymore with the technology the way it is. And so this year what they said was, we love that 4-year window or 4-hour window. If we come in and work 4 hours, if we're an 8-hour employee, can we get the 8 hours? Or if they're a 6-hour employee, they get 3 hours. Can they come in and work 3 hours and get a full 6? Because before we were saying you can either stay home and be safe, or you can come in and work and we'll pay you for what you worked. So now it was important to them that we combine those two. So you'll see that there's a big chunk of red language in the middle that tries to help define that for this group. And that was just a really important piece, and if you listen closely enough, it's something that matters for them, and they run the buildings.
Yes, they do.
They take care of everybody in that space, so again, just a really important way for us to honor kind of what their wishes were. But we had done a ton of work in these agreements the past couple of years, and I'm thankful that, especially with these 4, there wasn't a lot of language that they were too worried about. It was more, what are some of the things we can do in some of these small areas, so.
Cool.
All right, I got one more I'd like.
Yeah.
So for central office, we went to 6.
Yeah,
We kept it at, I assume we're keeping it at 10 for the secretaries?
for now, yeah. Yep, it was just not something that they had brought to the table. But with the wage reopener that we have with each one of these in the coming years, I anticipate that we'll be closer to that 6 level there. What'll be interesting is we do have a school year secretary position open at the middle school. And we have some internal candidates, which will mean that we'll hire at someplace else. I'm really interested to see if the application interest is as high with the school year secretary with the 10 steps. So you have the 4 steps that are less as they are with the 6 steps. So if that's the case, we may end up having to hire that person at step 4 or 5 and work through trimming those down in the years to come too.
You know, the cool thing about Grandville is we are a destination even for employees.
Mm-hmm.
So we treat our employees fairly. The community knows that.
Yep, that's the
And
goal.
the county knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Any other questions? Let's do a roll call.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeHaan,
Yes.
Steffes,
Yes.
Wonder Jim, yes. Van Ack,
Yes.
Highbauer.
Yes. Motion passes. Amy chose the right day to be gone, didn't she, Bob? Sorry about this.
Hey, I love being secretary, so don't even worry about it.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, on to 5C, the Fair Professionals Agreement. It is recommended that the board ratify and officially sign the master agreement between the Grandville Paraprofessionals and Grandville Public Schools. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
This one had even less change. So you'll notice, I mean, the Employee Sick Time Act, like it was in the other ones, is a change, but with them, they were all right with the 2% on the front side of that. And I meet with each one of them. They have representatives that come in and meet with me, and I'm like, what can we do to help you, and try to work through some of those pieces. But they didn't have a lot on that side of it. And so really this one is almost truly just that 2% increase in the change in the sick time language that's required by law, so.
Any other questions? All right, do another roll call.
Wonder Jim, abstain. Campbell,
Yes.
Benek,
Yes.
Stefas,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Ibar.
Yes. Motion passes, thank you. And then 5D, the food service agreement, is recommended the board ratify and officially sign the master agreement between the Grandville Food Service and Grandville Public Schools. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
The biggest change for this one, if you'll flip to 11, page 11, just some quick things that they wanted to kind of talk through. There was a uniform reimbursement that they said, we haven't touched that $150 in a long time. Things are more expensive. Can we hit that? The answer was yes, so we bumped that to $200. We needed to do a little bit different. It used to be just Century Park as the one school that kind of did more of its own food, and then it became Century Park and Grandview, and then it became Grand Rapids Christian, and now also Cummings. Right, when we upgraded all of those kitchens, they had a better ability to do more food prep, so that's why that rate is a little different. You see all the red up there. And then we also took out the breakfast server rate, and they will just get whatever the regular hourly rate is. Years ago, as I understand it, the breakfast was a Pop-Tart or a bowl of cereal and some milk, right? But now they're trying to serve real breakfast food. So there's a little bit more prep. There's some fruit. There are those nutritional nutritional values that they have to meet. So we said, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. If you're essentially doing similar work from a lunch standpoint, just at a lesser volume, but you still need the food prep, we put that piece in there as well. And then when you look at the number of steps, we had folks that had been here for 25 years that were making the same as somebody who had been here for 5, and it just felt not right. To them, didn't feel right to us. And so starting after step 6, we kind of put a 2-year gap in there, but starting with that $17.99 in year 8, we bumped up 40 cents in year 10, 60 cents in year 15. We just kind of bumped that up. Again, we've had really good success at retaining our food service folks. They love working for Jeff. It's a great gig for someone who needs some work right in the middle of a school day, and they've got young kids and they want to be able to get them off the bus. It really is a great position for them. This just honors the folks that have stayed with it for 20, 25 years, and gives them that thank you for being here for that time. And so that's why you see kind of those windows of movement. And I'm really proud that we were able to figure that piece out. The other thing which was really interesting, if you look on page 12 on the back, they came in with, you know what, hey, sometimes we get these probationary employees, and they come in and they order shoes, and we give them $150 or $200, and then they leave before their probationary period's done. And we just think that's terrible. We need some language in there that holds people accountable to coming in and purchasing something underneath that reimbursement policy, and then leaving before they've even established themselves in any way, shape, or form. And so that's where that red language is under probationary period. That was proposed by our staff from an accountability standpoint to say, like, we take great pride in what we do, and that's not why that's there. And so I thought that was a really cool, I mean, that's something that unless Jeff were to bring it to me, I would never know. You can't keep up with 1,100 employees that well. So it was great that the staff was like, hey, we need this in here because we've had some people that have jumped into that, so.
What's the thought? You just hold it from their last check?
Yeah, yep, so if they leave before then, we would withhold it, and if not, we would send them a bill and at the very least try to collect it.
Right.
You know, we're not gonna go to small claims court.
Right.
But at least try to collect it. If we can't get it on that last check, try to collect it by sending them a bill.
Well, I appreciate the recognition that 150 is not enough. I mean, because when you're working food prep, you beat your shoes.
Yep.
I mean, you do that in a lot of jobs, but I mean, not that our kitchens are like McDonald's, but I can tell you, I'm working
Yeah.
for McDonald's. you beat the living tar out of those shoes.
Sure do.
So appreciate that.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
So John,
Yeah.
do you happen to know what the percentage or how many staff have been here more than 20 years?
When we looked at, there were probably half of them that fell into the year 8 through 20. We had 2 that were 25 or more.
Wow.
Yep.
Just wondering. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go back there,
Mm-hmm.
especially in high school.
Yeah, yeah, there's been some turnover, but again, the hope is this helps folks to stick around. It's a great gig. And we have people that for 20, 25 years have been at it and have loved it. And we had a few recent retirees that would have fallen into that 25-year category, but they were ready to go put their feet up and stop beating up their shoes.
Nice.
We have playground people at East that were there when Bill Cheevers was the principal and are
Yeah.
still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments? All right, roll call.
Wonder, John. Yes. Van Eyck.
Yes.
Steffes.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Kahan.
Yes.
Ibar.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you.
And before John goes, before he sits down, I just want to commend him.
Yes.
I mean, I mentioned that before with our team, with John, with Heather, Scott at times. We had Mike Gelmy here. Remember when we were with you with the teacher's contract? They've just done an amazing job. And I know John with these, you heard him each time say that he starts with what would you appreciate, and he listens genuinely, and then we take it from there and try to make something work. So I just want to commend him. He's a master negotiator, and not just for getting what you want, but getting something that we can all feel good about. And he does an amazing job with that. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Nice
you.
job. Nice job. All right, 5E, the bus lease agreement. His recommended the Board of Education enter a 1-year lease agreement with Midwest Transit Equipment with Santander Bank, NA, the 1-year 15,000-mile lease for the 3 buses that were approved by the board on November 18th, 2024 in lieu of the full purchase. The district will pay $21,924 for each bus lease for a total of $65,772. In addition, the lease is based on 15,000 miles per bus. Any miles over 15,000 will cost the district 35 cents per mile. At the end of the year, the district will have the option to buy the buses at fair market value or turn them back into Midwest. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right.
So as you may remember, in November of 2024, you approved the purchase of 3 buses. From there, as we continued, we put in the purchase order pretty much right after that approval. And then when we started to notice that there was going to be some tightness in the 25-26 general fund budget, that was one of the concessions that we were making. Ryan and I had a lot of discussion with Mr. Tim Adams from Midwest about how can we make this work, same type of thing, how can we make this work for both parties? Like, we do a lot of business with them, they get it, and so the 2 options were this, which will still save, from our initial purchase, we were looking at $463,000. And we're still going to save the $397,000 in doing this, but it does require board approval to do the lease. I know you approved the purchase, but because it is a lease, it does require your approval. The other option would have been a restocking fee, because remember too, like, we're one of the few districts that uses the hydraulic brakes, which is great for the driver. It's great for retention and training and whatnot, but it's not a stock item. So that was the other piece that was important to them, is that they were able to move those 3 buses. So the other option would have been canceling it at the 25.9 each, or utilizing them for a year. I talked with Ryan in depth, and we will not go over the 15,000 miles, so we won't have to worry about the 35-cent per mile charge, because we'll use those on lower routes or less, that cover less distance. So,
Did you project out how many years that will cover in terms of the savings that you've made for this year? Okay,
in
so
terms
you
of-
said that we'll be saving 397,000 plus dollars, and
yeah, that's a 1 year savings, right? So, and we've talked about this before, like at least internally, I think I've talked to you about it. It's not something that we want to do every year.
Okay.
We want to keep to those replacement schedules as best we can, because otherwise then you get a really old fleet, and we've got great mechanics, and we can do it, for a year or two, but after that we want to make sure we're replenishing those.
okay.
So, yep.
Is the plan to buy these then after the end of the lease, or we have to just wait and see where our budget?
I think we're gonna have to wait and see where we are budget wise, but the amount would be at fair market value for those at the end of the lease if we chose to do that. If we do, we will bring that back to you as a recommendation, but just based on where budgets are right now, I think we have to just be in wait and see mode right now for that.
Heather, you looked my way. You were expecting it. Obviously, it makes sense, right? Instead of having a cancellation fee of, almost 80,000, you deal with a lesser on a lease. So either way, we still take it, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if you can even answer this question. So if we're so unique with those hydraulic brakes,
Mhm.
it surprises me. Just because I would think training bus drivers throughout Kent or Ottawa County, they're used to that type of equipment. So are we that unique? That's my first question.
That's my understanding, is that we are, and I know Ryan's not here, but Brian, I know, spends a lot of time around transportation too.
Most of the districts use air brake systems,
They do.
and in order to retrain a driver to obtain air brake endorsement, they have to go through the whole testing through the state again. Everything, the CDL and your passenger endorsement, everything has to be redone.
I'm not sure that's true. When I checked with FCG, the fleet compliance group that does the training, they said they can test just the air brakes. Just do the air brake test. So maybe that's new now.
Oh,
But it
okay.
could be,
Oh, yeah.
it could be new now, but that's what they told me just a couple weeks ago. But it is an extra endorsement that we have to,
Well, then it makes it
Pay
easier,
for.
but yeah, we've always had hydraulic.
yep.
So we've got these for a year. Fair market value could play into our hand, and it, might be less, could be a wash. All depends on fair market value and how other budgets are happening. So for the existing fleet, let's take these out.
Yep.
The buses we were going to replace, what's the?
We're holding them. We're
I
not selling
understand
them.
that.
Oh,
What's the fair life expectancy now that we're expanding them farther now? Are we gonna do this to our entire fleet? Or, because,
So-
reality, right? Reality is, we're not gonna see
Yeah.
COVID-style budgets for a
Right.
while, right?
Right.
Sinking fund comes into play, which is great.
yep, that's what I was gonna say. So
And
that
that's
would be
what
the
you're hoping
next.
for,
Yep,
right?
right.
And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But help me understand the maintenance and the condition of our existing fleet that are around that age. Are we just, because when we sell them, we don't sell them for much because they're,
Right, and again, too, usually we sell them at auction. Right now, I have had a couple of other smaller districts reach out. We did sell one this year and was able to get around $8 or $9 grand for that one. When they go to auction, we don't get that much, but when you look at, we do have a partnership now with Calvin Christian. We're working on their fleet as well. They have a mixture of different types of buses. My thought is, hey, when we are able to replace our fleet, instead of going to auction, number one, I'll reach out to them and say, hey, do you guys want to get rid of this? It makes it easier for our mechanics to work on. And then number two would be, if they're not interested, then I'll reach back out to some of those other smaller districts that we've worked with in the past. But overall, our fleet is in great condition. Mark and Chris, they do great work. I know that when you come in and you hear about the state inspection and stuff, I think it's usually in the spring when the results are finally posted, but you know, they fix them, and very rarely do we have a red tag. If we do, it's because something happened like right then, and it was on the list to get fixed, and
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
red
so they do a
tags
great
are
job.
almost
Yeah.
non-existent for us.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yep.
our maintenance people do great work
Mhm.
because of that. Okay.
Do you know when the next batch of buses was, what was your plan to replace them? Is that, how often do we buy?
Well, we've typically done
Every
three.
year?
Yeah, we've typically done every year. Now, we had, you know, bond funds for a good 10-year period of that, and that's another reason why the fleet is in such good condition. So, but we were trying to keep that cycle 3 to 4 every year. So, a little hiccup for this year, and hopefully, but we do realize, like, that can't happen every year. Right. So.
So when you say hopefully, can you finish that?
I guess
thought for me?
hopefully, I guess my hope would be is that the funding comes through to the extent that when we turn around this fall or early winter, and we're having a conversation with Midwest, it's, yeah, what are you thinking for fair market value? Because we're ready to go on making that purchase and buying them, and then we would probably hold for 26, 27. I wouldn't bring you a refresh, and we would keep, like, instead of selling, we would keep those older ones as spares. So that would be the plan.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
Appreciate your creativity and willingness to look through this, and as everything is kind of up in the air and in flux, and as we try to figure out what's coming next, right? So
Yep.
appreciate that, guys. Any other questions, comments? All right. You want to do a roll call, or should we just go ahead and vote since we voted on it once before? I'm in favor of just doing a straight vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Last item. 5F, district snow plowing. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the contracted services of Top Land Construction for the district snow plowing. The cost for this per time plow is $4,658. Snow mover occurs when we receive 2 inches of snow, and I think you owe us at least $20 a piece for talking about snow in the middle of July.
Yeah.
Do you feel it getting cooler in here now? All right.
Can I get a motion?
It'll be here.
So moved.
Be here before you know it.
Support.
Yeah, so it was time. We have had advanced excavating in our district for many years, doing our plowing. The last 2 years, they started to sub it out because it's just we had, you know, added property, we're growing, and so they are you'll note that they didn't bid, but last year Topland Construction was doing the full subcontracting of the district for us. So we bid it out. We had our bid opening, and Topland came in at $4,658 per plow, and you can see the breakdown by buildings there. You know, TBD Construction, I give them credit. They came out to the pre-bid and whatnot. They're new to the game, and so they're also a paving company, and so they were doing it based on square footage of the lots, and so that's, you know, it was a good conversation with him after the bid opening, though, so he kind of understood some things too. So
That's always, you know what?
yeah,
It's a learning process, especially
Yeah.
this first time bid.
exactly.
Letting understand that.
Yep. So
Where is Top Land?
they're both Topland and DeHammer are.
I know where the hammer is.
Okay, Topland, where's the hammer? Because then I can tell you, I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so then I think Topland is over in the Jennison
Okay, that's
area.
okay. You can test me, Heather.
I knew one was north and one was south of Grandville, but yeah. Yep.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to discussions, 6A, data review part 2 with Scott. Thank you.
So you may recall Scott and Jason Glarum were here earlier and had a data component that they reviewed with you. And then we said Scott would come back for a part 2 because we had some data components that weren't in our possession yet. Well, now they're here and excited to share them with you. So take her away,
Yeah,
Scott.
thank you. So this is going to be pretty high level, but some exciting year-end data to celebrate, and some of these pieces just came in. So we'll go through reading elementary, math elementary, and then celebrate some high school things. So starting with reading, ignore the bright blue one. That was the one time the one kid took it and obviously scored very, very well. Our reading scores at the elementary level on a whole remain consistent. We've rebounded from COVID and are at a consistent level. One of the things that speaks to about our growth, though, and you see this in reading and math, is when you take a look at that downward trend of fall scores. This is kindergarten. We're finding consistently that our kindergarten kids are coming in a little lower. We're achieving about at the same rate, right? We're still just a couple of points behind, but both in reading and math, we're seeing better growth, but we're starting a little farther behind. And maintaining some pretty high levels. So you see this then up to first grade, that level of consistency. And then I'm going to jump to fourth grade, and you see the same thing, just consistent growth across grade level. And then up to sixth grade. Pretty exciting. This was our first year. I don't want to over micro-analyze our first year of fifth and sixth grade being on their own, but there were some pretty neat successes within that collaboration model that we see. One of these being just a start of a jump in reading over where we've been the last couple of years. Again, that's average, all sixth graders, so I don't want to make too much of it, but excited to see where that goes for these two grade levels. I want to then look at growth versus achievement. This is not new to you. We've looked at this. This is NWEA MAP scores. That top one is growth. That's the percentile of students making expected growth, right? We want 100% of our students to make a year's growth or better. And then the bottom, achievement, is the percentile, is a national percentile rank of where we stand. We are still in reading a nicely above average, but one of the things we want to focus on is our individualized growth. So kindergarten, like I showed you, we're still above average. Our achievement on that right spot is 56th percentile. We're coming in a little lower. And our growth, though, we have groups that we want to target. Now, one thing about reading is, as you know, you've heard this for years, we have solid intervention in reading. We probably rely too heavily on our intervention in reading and not enough on our core instruction. So what you see as the grade levels go on, those kids that were behind that have been receiving intervention, we're catching them up. So when you get into second grade, our growth is up to 69th percentile. Our achievement is up to 68th percentile. And then we see that with the exception of fifth grade. Glarum and I were talking today. Fifth grade has been this anomaly for us for years, where we just see weird drops, and then we rebound again in sixth grade. And we see it in math, we see it in Acadians, and we see it in M-STEP.
Is it a level of expectation?
I've wondered that, and I've also wondered if it's a matter of alignment. If for whatever reason, what we're focusing our instruction on isn't what these are focused on, but we've looked at all of them, and we've analyzed them. And it could be. We're going to keep plugging away at it. I'd be more concerned if we didn't rebound automatically in sixth grade.
Just real quick, Scott, when did this begin to occur?
The fifth grade?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. When I started in this role, it was going on back when I was at Cummings, because I remember when I started here having specific conversations with Tracy Strife and Tanya Shoup about it.
Okay.
So then, if you look down to sixth grade, again, we're rebounding. Our scores, our achievement score is good, but we're still only at 59th percentile in terms of growth. And so, like Roger talked about, our focus on teacher clarity and guaranteeing a viable curriculum, this is a tier 1 issue. We need to tighten up our tier 1 core instruction, just so every student, whether they're in intervention or not, we're making sure they hit those targets. And those
Just out of
growth
curiosity,
targets.
I'm going to keep interrupting you because
That's okay. You're good.
So, okay, you look at 5 and 6, you look at the 5-6 building, right? You look at clarity.
Yep.
Any predictions as to what clarity will cause these two next year?
Well, my hope is exactly, if I go back to this about sixth grade, my hope is that tiny uptick that you see from 217 to 221, it's higher than it ever was at 219. My hope is that that continues to go up because we have clarity, we have collaboration in both fifth and sixth grade.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
you're
wondering.
definitely
But
gonna see
it's an excellent question.
You're definitely going to see strengths with the collaboration
Yep.
amongst the fifth grade teachers. I think that was a big part that was missing for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, when you look at fifth and sixth grade, especially in reading, that's when you really start to see vocabulary, background knowledge, comprehension playing a much bigger role in how they do on reading assessments. Whereas when they're little, right, in kindergarten, we're really looking at, can you read the text? And is it, can they read it and understand it? When you get older, vocab and background knowledge, and that takes a long time to build, and it's not quite as quick to respond to intervention. So it doesn't surprise me that you would see sort of those lags happening a little bit more in fifth and sixth grade, but yeah, I agree. Then you go back to like your equipment, like what are we doing for that back, in earlier grades?
To your point, with language and its role in math instruction, fifth grade is often the big time where some of these newer, bigger concepts are coming out, and the language that goes with it is plopped on their lap, and they kind of don't know what to do.
Yeah, and the
with it.
combination of all that,
Yeah.
the fraction work starts in third grade, right? But then it builds into decimals in fifth grade big
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
So that tier 1 focus that we've talked about, Grandview's a great example. Grandview started a tier 1 focus in kindergarten last year, rolled it up to first grade this last year, and they went, when you take a look at that top graph, is all of Grandview. So that's just all of Grandview as a whole. Grandview's first grade, right below that, 71st percentile in terms of growth, right at their building average. But take a look at where they started the year in the fall. They were 46th percentile, and they went up 19 percentage points in terms of there. And this was a tier 1 focus. The teachers were collaborating, working together, just really intentionally. Not that they hadn't before, but just with a little more intentionality and focus. And that's what we're going to try to scale out to the district as a whole this next year with what Roger talked about, our PLC work, the guaranteed and viable curriculum, just really tightening some of those things that have been loose in the past. So they, like I said, they had the highest first grade growth measure in the district. That 71st percentile was highest first grade in the district. They started lowest in achievement out of all the first grades and finished third highest. So again, just a snapshot, but I'm going to share a couple other snapshots that we know are successful too. So how do we take that and learn from it? Now math, we've talked about, right? We've talked about, and I got to be honest, last year's math scores were so good, and I bragged them up so much because that's what we do. I was a little nervous to see if we'd have a little sophomore slump, and spoiler alert, we did not. But take a look again, this is kindergarten. So our kindergarten in the spring score, we're still hovering about where we've been, but look at that downward slope of what's coming in terms of math in kindergarten. So the growth level, our achievement is still about the same, but our growth level is higher. We jump to fourth grade, we see the same thing. We've seen this when we talked about our math supplemental resources. We've built kids back up through third grade when you look at those fall scores where they're entering, but continuing to jump up. And that's that COVID gap back to 213, that RIT score in the spring of 213 all the way up now to an average of 221. And when you take a look at fourth grade, the previous graph only went back five years, so I wanted to pull this one, goes back 10 years. This is our highest fourth grade RIT average in 10 years in math.
So Scott, when we approved the new curriculum for
Yeah.
math, the new materials, those were in play this year in 2024, correct?
Yep.
Okay, good.
And this is sixth grade, so I brought it up to sixth grade too, where you see that spring 230 in sixth grade. So we're continuing to build on that. And then sixth grade again, in the last 10 years, only 1 year was 1 RIT point average higher. And I think we're gonna continue. So in the last 10 years in math, in those middle grades, we're really making impressive ground. And again, these are those graphs of this year that I showed you before when we did approve those math resources. This is district-wide math 79th percentile in growth, and we went from 54th achievement to 69th district-wide. That's unbelievable. And so here are all the grade levels. When you take a look at these growth scores, look at second grade, 86th percentile in growth. And the others are not to slouch at, but that is really, really high. Look at third grade, 95th percentile in growth, all the way up to the 80th percentile in achievement from 54th. So just again, continuing that high level of success in math. And so tier 1, you've heard West Elementary talk about it. They were here, they talked about how they were kind of restructuring some of their math focuses. Obviously they were leading the charge with the reflex work and everything else, but they were also focusing on their tier 1 math model. And look at that top graph is all of West Elementary. K4, 90th percentile in growth. From 54th in achievement to 77th in achievement, all grades, is just incredible. And then you see the grade breakdown. That 86th percentile in kindergarten is off the charts. And then look at third grade there, 95th percentile in growth. That means you have a handful of students who are not making at least a year's growth in third grade, and that's only a handful. So when we talk about focus on tier 1, what that can do, here's our model. So something I know they're super, super proud of, and should be, and we celebrate along with them. And John Philo actually pointed it out earlier, that look at that second grade group. They had a tough testing day in the fall at the 15th percentile of achievement. But then
Obviously, somebody wanted to go to gym, and
that's right. They picked the wrong time to test. But that's hard work.
is Holly still going to be at West, and is math, as you're combining specialists?
Holly is still going to be at West. She's going to do math. She's going to pick up a little bit of ELA intervention as well.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, we wanted to maintain some of those placements.
She's passionate.
Absolutely, 100%. I think it's because she had a really good middle school teacher just a
Good
few
hit.
years ago.
Who would that be?
Well, I'm not gonna say.
I understand. I got it. I got it, Scott.
So this was super fun for Adam to be able to share with us, this SAT update. Our average score went up 27 points. And again, we talk about 1 year anomalies. We'll see how we carry this forward, but this was intentional work. That high school, they worked really hard on prepping. Just again, it was core instruction that they knew was tied to skills, and just a dramatic improvement. And one of the things I noticed looking at these scores, that bottom bullet point, the Michigan scores went up and national scores went up, but our scores went up over twice as much, almost 3 times in some levels. So not an equal improvement. Our work was significant. And then in the SAT, the percentage of meeting benchmarks, there's a evidence-based reading and writing component, there's a math component, and then they track what percentage of your students are meeting each benchmark and then both benchmarks together. Our scores went up in both, and getting back to that 10-year average In the evidence-based reading and writing, our percentage who met that benchmark was 70% this year. In the last 10 years, only 1 year was higher. And the average of the 4 years pre-COVID, let's take COVID out of it, right? We like to talk about that. 4 years pre-COVID, we averaged 70.25%, so we're right back at that percentage. And I think we're going to continue to go higher. Our math percentage was a little bit below that yet, but I'm super excited to see how this math growth in these middle levels starts to translate up to SAT success. In 1 year, this was really, really exciting. Even more I don't know if I can say even more exciting. Our AP scores came in maybe even more impressive. 87%, that second note, 87%, 389 out of 448 students who took an AP exam earned college credit. I'd say passing at a 3 or higher. It depends on colleges if they accept it, but that's a 3 or higher, 87% of all of our AP kids. 6 courses had 100% pass rate, 8 or more had pass rates over 87%. And then 18 of 22 courses exceeded state and global pass rates. And so this is just a breakdown of those exams. Some of the things I think that are just incredible, that biology was 100%, calc 94%, and then look at calc BC. Calc BC we added a couple years ago. That's second level college calculus at 100% pass rate. Chem 94. These are just incredible passing rates, and a credit to our staff and students. And then over the 5-year trend analysis, when you take a look back to 2021, we were at 71%. Now we're up to 87%. More importantly, take a look at the graph on the right of total AP students. In 2021, we had 423. Now we're up to 448. Not only did we have more students take AP classes, but we have a higher success rate. I remember when I started in this role, one of the first conversations that Slice and I had was an intentionality. They wanted to increase the number of students taking AP classes. And we had some staff members that were really resistant to it, based on the idea that if we open the valve, we're probably not going to be as successful. And it was a legit concern, and the opposite has happened. And it's a credit back even to that work to be successful.
Of the AP, just out of curiosity, do you happen to know how many go into college versus go into a skilled trade?
Good question. I do not know that. We could certainly try to estimate that. We'd have to get that information from students.
You know, the effect of AI, which nobody knows, or how it will morph, or how it will transition, right?
Yeah.
You know, do people get the skill set they need, specifically construction? When I think of math, I think of construction, or chemistry, or, you know, anything else, and utilize that service, and they're more valuable as a skilled trade.
Well, the hardest text, the text with the highest reading level is a tech manual. I mean, so
Yeah,
translatable skill for sure.
yeah. Just, you know, we're not there yet, but
It's
at some point, it wouldn't be bad to have
fair
those
questions.
stats,
Yeah.
just to see as it transitions, because I'm telling you, I think more and more are gonna go into skilled trade. Just because cost of living, cost of a home, you don't have that expense, you can immediately go in and begin. Now, how that will affect other things, we don't know, but I'm gonna tell you, path of least resistance could occur in this situation
Yes.
for employment.
Yeah.
So Scott, question for you. I mean, you know, it's great to see, right? I mean, I'd love to see that we got more students in there and more students passing or taking exams and passing those exams. I mean, that's awesome, right? I mean, kind of reminds me of the I'll say kind of the U.S. model of college versus like Canadian model of college, right? You know, one of the best colleges in Canada is University of Toronto, right? They don't do what we do, which is, hey, University of Michigan's only going to accept 4,000 students this year, right? University of Toronto says, we're the best, we're going to get bigger. We'll take everybody who qualifies, right? So I guess my question is, do we think these test scores are based on the teachers, based on the curriculum? You know, what's causing us to be so successful in getting these kids, you know, these great test scores? Is it teachers? Is it curriculum? Or is it, and how do we expand that, right? So we have more kids in there.
Yeah, great question. And I am going to pat our teachers on the back. And I think point number one has to be with the work they've done. It's not our test.
Right.
Nobody could look from the outside and say, well, yeah, you prepped them for your own test, right? This is a national test that everybody's taking. So I think the work that they put in to align to that, I think there is a clarity element that sometimes we lose with some of the other things. One of the things about AP is that, I mean, College Board makes things crystal clear in terms of, hey, this is what you're doing. They provide some great resources if you've had kids in them with the AP, the online AP prep and how we do that. So certainly not one factor, but I think there's a level of rigor and effort here on the part of our teachers and staff to get kids ready.
I was just going to say that it's the opportunity, it's the rigor, not only the rigor in AP courses, but rigor in younger level courses that get kids prepared for rigorous experiences, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
Because everybody can take AP classes. So, but when you have that kind of pass rate and you see those averages that are there, it to me it screams they know how to manage what they're learning. They've had rigorous experiences that have prepared them for focusing on what's essential in that content and in the skills that they're asked to do. So I think it not only is our AP teachers, our AP classes, but it's before that and the rigor that our kids experience that allows them to get there. So again, hats off to our teachers. Hats off to the work that our people are doing in defining what's essential for kids to know and be able to do, and making sure that they get experiences to prepare them for things like this.
Yeah, because I mean it's work, it's extra work, and you know, you got to be excited to be able to do this, right? And then it's again I'm just kind of blown away about, like I said, the number of exams, right? You know, that they've taken. If you look at 80 more exams were taken, right, over that time period. I mean, it just tells us our kids are excited to do it. They're willing, they're ready to do it. They want to come in and do it. And I, you know, was kind of blown away by all the Ron Clark graduation, you know, memes I watched, you know, for the last 2 months, right? You know, all the excitement they have when the kids are graduating and stuff like that. And like, those kids are excited to come to school, right? And it's like, I know we're embracing that, you know, methodology, that thought process, and you know, I'm hoping it leads to more of this because that's fantastic.
And how many kids took obviously more than one AP test there?
Right. Yeah.
And I think, again, this doesn't just, you know, this just doesn't scream college. It also screams careers, because it's not only the knowledge, it's the skills and the ability and the rigor to prepare you for life after school. So
I should have said the excitement to learn,
Yes.
right? Whether that's learning to be a physicist or learning to, you know, build the best cabinet you can build, right? You know, it's that excitement to continue to learn, because no matter what job we're in, we got to continue to learn, right? And to me, that's what is impressive about that, right? Is that piece.
One of the things that I guess I was able to observe when my son went through high school, Grandville was very fortunate to have Nancy Stolzenberg. And in that, I think Nancy was a catalyst. I think she created a positive virus amongst the staff, especially with relate to AP. And her notoriety was nationally known, and it became known. She figured out how to teach calc so that anybody can get it. And she used incredible tools that were very simple. And then, you know, her apprentice was Kelly. And okay, look how that has grown and mushroomed. So I think Grandville's got the right mix. Again, destination and what we're doing right and what's going to draw to Grandville. But this is, I mean, this is the cherry on top. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And the staff are engaged.
I mean, like Roger said, it goes all the way back to elementary even, because Mrs. Mulder, I still credit her with my youngest son, how well he did through high school, because she said he had the ability to do better in math than what he was, and she challenged him in 5th grade, and he grew a ton in 5th grade, and then he just kept going from there. But if it wasn't for Mrs. Mulder challenging him,
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what would happen, but.
What's that? It's our image program. It's all those things, right? And that's where I always like, how do we expand those as opposed to say, hey, well, we got to limit it to this, right? How do we expand those opportunities for kids to get that excitement and they get that extra learning?
It really comes
Those
down to the
opportunities.
core instruction
Yeah.
and what we do during a school day, and that's why that focus of core instruction that we're talking about is so important. So I think we're doing the right work, and I think we'll continue to grow and show the rewards of that.
I am excited, though, that the MTSS program is kind of growing and becoming more pervasive in what each school is doing, because I think that's going to bring some of the kids that are not up there up the next level, and including all of our students, regardless of what category they're in. If we can include them in that MTSS process, I think we're going to see even bigger things happen with our scores. But this is definitely amazing.
Okay, something that stirred my mind, a thought, when Sally said that. So with the Federal Department of Ed kind of dismantling things and its subgroup requirements, are they off the table now? Is that at a state level?
No. Subgroups are still there, but, you know, our focus is on every student.
And I understand that, I understand that, but I know what drives certain things down based on special ed at times, and whether that subgroup should grow or expand based on the population of the students and their cognitive abilities and testing abilities.
What do you mean by drive down? Can you explain what you mean by that?
What I'm saying is, federal government puts a governor on subgroup sizes. And with the dismantling of that, does that now go away? Because they would only allow subgroups, so many in a subgroup, which means if you have, let's say you've got, you've got 10 students that are that they assigned to a subgroup, but you've got 25. Those 15 are now in general pop, and they could bring scores down inadvertently because of their level, because that's this whole subgroup with regard to the federal government. So that's where my question is driving to, because I'm wondering if that's actually going to begin to dismantle that and allow the district to be able to test based on the needs of the student.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how I look at it is it's not special ed, it's not general ed, it's just ed.
I understand that.
You do everything possible to make sure what you expect a student to know and be able to do, that they're able to do that to the best of their ability. I don't.
But they're not all taking the same standardized test.
Depends. There are students with disabilities in there.
And I understand that. I'm saying cognitive abilities. I'm saying cognitive. You know, I don't see a cognitive student that they have a disability cognitively. Could be autism, that they have the ability to do that. But I'll give you a perfect example. My son Jeff. My son would not be in that. My son should not be, he should be part of a subgroup that is allowed to be exempt from standardized testing.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Because
and I don't know where they're heading with that, Bob. I mean, our two focus areas, I think, our approach to that is, I mean, I don't care about subgroups. I just want to make sure each student reaches their fullest potential. That's what you want to do,
that's
right?
why we're here.
And I don't want to put a ceiling on that. So I think it's hard to talk about, it's hard, every kid's different, right? You know that. So it's hard to answer that. I mean, I don't know what the federal government's going to do, but I know from a philosophical approach, we don't want to say, well, this is the ceiling for this kid or these group of kids. We want to see where is their fullest potential and do everything we can to help them to get to wherever that is.
Right.
And I'd rather focus on that than focus on whether kids are involved in that. I mean, I don't, because I don't control that.
And I understand that, but
Yeah.
this was a review of standardized testing.
Yes, part of it was, yeah. True.
All right. Great.
Thank
Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pointing out some great
Congratulations.
numbers.
Thanks.
Any other items are for discussion? All right. No public comments, so the next workshop board meeting of the Grandville Board of Education will be Monday, August 4th at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. We are adjourned.
Thank you.